Alright, good morning everybody. Today is Friday, June 14th, 2024 at 0941, also known as Flag Day. So, today, oh, you serious? Come on, show the risks. You only show the hail risk. Come on now. Oh my gosh, here we go again. Oh, here we go again. I knew it. Oh, here we go. Let's see if everything's showing up now. Here we go, finally. Okay, so first of all, we got a slight risk out here in Colorado, Kansas, and Nebraska. And a teeny tiny bit of Wyoming you can see is under it, but it's mainly Colorado, Kansas, and Nebraska. Oh, and a little bit of New Mexico under it. Slight risk. Marginal out here extending from basically New Mexico through Colorado, up through Wyoming, out into Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska. What did I say Oklahoma for the state the entire time? I meant Nebraska. What the heck am I thinking? South Dakota, North Dakota, and out into Montana. A little bit of Idaho here. Of course, a little bit of Wyoming has it too. So anyway, we also have a slight risk over here, which includes almost my area, but my house up in Pennsylvania is actually under a slight risk, which is a 2 out of 5. So we do have a slight risk extending from Maryland through Pennsylvania up through New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Hampshire, and Maine. So we also have a marginal extending from basically Kentucky, Virginia, West Virginia, Ohio, up through Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, New York State. We got Massachusetts, Connecticut, all those states, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine under those. So let's see what we've got here. Let's see what we've got here for today. So it looks like we got Boston, Denver, Colorado, Aurora, and Newark under a slight risk, and then New York, Philadelphia, Columbus, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. having the marginal risk. I can see outside, and it's very, very sunny out here, so if that keeps up, this slight risk actually might be extended more south. We'll need to see what happens throughout the day. Today's tornado risk. We don't have any here, so at least that's good. But we do have one out in Colorado, Kansas, and Nebraska, which is a 2%. So we got Salina, Hutchinson, North Platte, Hayes, and Great Bend under a 2%. So it doesn't mean that a tornado won't form, but it could be possible. 2% is possible here out in western parts of the U.S. If a tornado does develop, I would say most likely it will be EF0, maybe EF1 at tops. Anyway, today's hail risk. We've got a 15% out here in Colorado, Kansas, and Nebraska. A little bit down, dipping down into a little bit in New Mexico and Wyoming out here a little bit. But we also have a 15% out here I'm on the border of the 15 and 5. So, again, this area, like Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, in the New York State, Massachusetts, Connecticut, those states. So that's what we basically have. And of course, we got the 5% extending from New Mexico and Texas all the way out through Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska, Wyoming, South Dakota, North Dakota, and Idaho. We got this 5% extending from Kentucky, Ohio, West Virginia, Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Delaware, New York State, New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, all those states. Let's see what we've got going on here today. So we got North Platte, Sterling, Colorado, Fort Morgan, and Lamar under the significant severe. We got Boston, Colorado Springs, Aurora, Newark, and Jersey City having the 15%. In New York, Philadelphia, Columbus, Baltimore, and Denver having the 5%. So we could see damaging winds of maybe, as you can see, today is the day one wind risk. We could see damaging winds of 60 miles an hour, maybe even 70 miles per hour possible, but maybe in the yellow area you might see push 75 miles an hour, even maybe 80 miles an hour possible in the 15% areas. I think this is the most likely area to get the 80% mile per hour, though. I'd say this area might see 75 miles an hour at tops for wind gusts, so please be mindful of that. And today's hail risk, we've got 15% across mainly Colorado, but it does go into Nebraska a little bit and Wyoming. And of course, we got the 5% extending from New Mexico all the way through Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska, Wyoming, North and South Dakota, into Montana, into a little bit of Idaho here. And of course, we got the 15%. I am under the 5%, as you can clearly see. My house and where I'm at are under the 5%. So, definitely Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York State, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire and Maine have the 15%. But 5%, of course, goes from basically a little bit of Kentucky through Ohio, through West Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York State. We got Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, also under the hail risk. Let's see what we've got going on here. We got Denver, Colorado Springs, Aurora, Worcester, and Springfield under a 15%, and New York, Philadelphia, Columbus, Baltimore, and Boston under a 5%. So definitely, for these two risk areas, you could see hailstones, maybe baseball-sized hail at tops in the yellow. It could be possible. In the 5%, you might just see hailstones of maybe 1 to 2 inches. That's what I would predict for the hail. So let's see what the Storm Prediction Center says for today's risk. Let's see what we've got. So scattered severe storms with large hail and wind gusts of 60 to 80 miles per hour will be possible from the mid-afternoon through evening along the Front Range to the central Great Plains. Scattered strong storms with sporadic damaging winds and isolated hail will also be possible across the northeast states during the afternoon to early evening. So that's basically what we've got going on for today. Basically, this seems to be, at least for my area, it seems to be mainly a damaging wind threat. But it still doesn't mean we can get an isolated, maybe even brief, short-lived tornado or a touch of large hail. Could be possible. But out here is the main threat here, out in the Midwest here, because you do have slight risk out here, 2% tornado risk there, 15% damaging wind risk there, and a 15% hail risk there. But of course, out in this area here, should still be monitoring severe weather, see where it takes you. We'll see what happens with all this severe weather stuff. So, of course, there's no tornado risk here. But anyway, yes, stay weather aware, stay safe, and I will see you for tomorrow's video. Happy Flag Day.